How good can Pat Mahomes, Damien Williams, and Mecole Hardman be in 2019 fantasy football? Let's start off with Damien Williams. Is he the most talented running back in the entire league? No, but that doesn't change the fact that he could be a top 5 running back in 2019. Now, should you draft him as a top 5 running back? Absolutely not. I just grabbed him at the top of the 3rd round in my expert league on Instagram, and I couldn't be more happy because I think he's the last running back in that range of like 18 to 27 that can really push the envelope for being a top 5 running back. The situation is there for him to do that. He played amazing down the stretch in 2018, so much so that they extended him, which is a big vote of confidence that they want him to be the starter. Then news broke the other day that he is going to be the KC starter. They are banking on him being the workhorse back in 2019. We kind of knew that was going in that direction, but confirmation by the coaching staff just solidifies his top 5 potential, but trapped in that 18 to 27 overall value. I've seen him go all over the place at 18. I've seen him go at 25, 26. Again, I got him at 3.02 in an expert league on Instagram. So don't think he can't fall to your 3rd drafted player. He can, and he's about as low risk and high reward as you can get anywhere after that top 18 are gone. 10 TDs down the stretch in his final 6 games if you include his 2 playoff games. He averaged over 100 yards a game in that span. 6 of those 10 TDs were on the ground. Handcuff him to Darwin Thompson, the rookie running back. Maybe Hyde. We'll see who kind of develops as that backup there. If you're in a league with small rosters, you probably can't grab both of those guys, but at least grab the guy that appears to be the backup when you head into your draft. I would bank on Darwin Thompson right now, but that could change. Not every backup running back can jump into the lineup and produce anything close to the numbers that the starter produces, but in this offense, the running back is going to be very much a product of it. And I like Damien Williams as a talent, but you don't have to separate talent from situation. Would Priest Holmes, ironic we talk about a guy also that dominated in Kansas City, would he have been the same running back in a different offense? Probably not, but it didn't matter. And why people try to separate situation from the player is kind of crazy to me because you don't need to and you can't. To me, Damien Williams is probably one of the safest running backs to grab outside of the top 18 overall, and you're damn lucky if you get him where I got him at 3.02. Without Tyreek Hill, they'll lean on him even more, and no Tyreek Hill doesn't mean that defenses will just key on him. That offense is still very potent. They can still spread the ball around a ton, and they still have a ton of talent, something I think people overlook all the time when they talk about Tyreek Hill potentially missing 8 to 10 games or an entire season. And that leads me into Patrick Mahomes. Even if in a worst case scenario, you rip Tyreek Hill from that offense, you cut him tomorrow, let's say, Pat Mahomes still has as many weapons, if not more, you could argue, than an Andrew Luck, who's got T.Y. Hilton, 2 decent tight ends, Marlon Mack, who's always injured, a rookie receiver who could be good in Campbell. I agree. I like him. But those aren't more weapons than Kelce, Damien Williams, Sammy Watkins, and a new exciting player in Mecole Hardman that I think is very, very undervalued. And I'll talk about him in a second, but he's got 4.33 speed. He's dynamic like Tyreek Hill was. Will he replace Tyreek Hill out of the gate? No. But if people think Tyreek Hill wasn't somewhat a product of that offense, they're kidding themselves. And Mecole Hardman doesn't have to absorb everything that Tyreek Hill is leaving behind. Pat Mahomes will spread some of that action out, but I don't think Pat Mahomes throws for under 42, 43, maybe even 44 TDs in 2019. That will be his floor, if you ask me, in terms of passing TDs. Add in the rushing ones, he's over 45, inching close to 50 TDs in 2019. That's without Hill. You can call me crazy all you want. I stand by the fact that Pat Mahomes, in hindsight, will be worth way more than a 3rd round pick, and I'm not scared to take him at the top of the 3rd in every single draft I'm in. The industry is saturated with people saying don't take a QB early. Taking a QB early will lead you to failure. I couldn't disagree more. I've argued this point over and over in videos, but I will say in a nutshell, my stance on that is that if I take a Pat Mahomes in the 3rd round and you take your QB in, let's say, the 6th or 7th round, the player you get in the 3rd round is going to be somewhat comparable to the player that I take in the 6th or 7th. So if you're taking a Leonard Fournette and I'm taking a Calvin Ridley, all said and done, I think I crushed the 2-player for player comparisons because I have Mahomes and Calvin Ridley. You have your Wilson and Fournette. At the very least, it's a wash. I don't get the argument that if I'm taking Mahomes in the third, especially if it's a late third, that I'm running any kind of risk of having a lesser team, even in a worst case scenario for me. But the truth is, if Mahomes throws for 45 TDs, I win my league. The true test of this is during the season, do you remember ever making an offer for Pat Mahomes? Unless you offered a top 5 or 6 overall player, my guess is you got shot down every single time. And that should tell you something, that the true value of a player sometimes isn't realized until the draft is over. And there's a gap in thinking where people say, oh, well, now that I have him on my team, I value him more. Kind of like how people will draft Todd Gurley high, but no one's going to trade for him if you own him. Think about that when Pat Mahomes is about to pass you by, when you're looking at a bunch of very shaky players in that late third round. I'm not saying to draft Pat Mahomes in the second round. Please understand that. What I'm saying is, in hindsight, he's easily worth a second round pick. But because you can, take him in the third. And if Tyreek Hill returns for even half a season, forget about it. You have win a league material without question at even high third round value. This leads me back to Mecole Hardman, a player people might say, well, he's a rookie. Smitty, how can he be elite? Rookie wide receivers don't really truly break out. But the bottom line is this. We've never seen a rookie wide receiver walk into a situation like this. Even without a number one wide receiver, the Kansas City Chiefs are the number one passing attack in the entire league. Even without a number one wide receiver on that roster, Pat Mahomes is the number one QB in the entire league. Think about what I just said there. You're talking about a player that has this number one wide receiver ripped from the team, yet he's still so good. They still have such a good tight end that could be a top 5 wide receiver if you're ranking him in with the wide receivers. A potential guy in Sammy Watkins that can really fill up the stat sheet if healthy, and a PPR machine in the making in Damien Williams. Whether you want to argue it's 70% situation, 30% talent, that part again does not matter. Those weapons are tremendous. Deshaun Watson doesn't have as many weapons. Andrew Luck doesn't have as many weapons. You could argue Breeze with Thomas and Kamara is equal, and this is all assuming that Mecole Hardman doesn't turn into an elite player. Now, most rookie wide receivers don't turn into elite talents right away. They can show flashes of becoming that player in time and sprinkle those big outings over a course of an entire season of inconsistency. Sure, but you couldn't replicate this situation that a rookie walks into the best offense in the entire NFL, walks into a position to catch passes from the best QB in the entire league, and gets shoved into the number one spot on that team as a rookie right out of the gate. This will be a unique season for not only Mecole Hardman, but for rookies, and we probably won't see something like this happen ever again, or at least for a long time. Don't be shocked if Mecole Hardman has 9 to 10 TDs, 70 plus receptions, and 1,000 yards as a rookie, and top on some exciting running that he can do because he's fully capable of playing that kind of role. I might be called a little crazy on this one, but I'm kind of itching to try in at least one of my 12 leagues that I do, owning like a Kamara or a Zeke Elliott, then a Kelce, then a Damien Williams, and then maybe trading up to get Pat Mahomes and rolling that KC offense out there every week in at least one of my leagues. Call it a crazy experiment, call it a replication of something that I did with the Denver Broncos back when Peyton Manning was lighting it up. That crazy part aside, don't be afraid to draft Pat Mahomes in the third round. Don't be afraid to lean on Damien Williams as a player that you pay value right around top 25 overall, but get potentially top 5 running back numbers. Make sure you cuff him, and don't be afraid to run Mecole Hardman out onto the field as your elite wide receiver 3 in 2019. Subscribe, follow, get some, and buckle up.